Kia ora and welcome along to the Met Service Severe Weather Show for Thursday the 1st of June. We have got some more wet weather on that western coast of the South Island and also some stronger winds to watch out for out towards the eastern side of the South Island and even up towards the likes of Marlborough Sounds and Wellington as we head through towards those early hours of Friday. You can see on the satellite chart that there's a fair bit of activity waiting down towards the south. There's areas of cloud coming towards us, wrapped up amongst that, some more showers and some more thunderstorms. Those red crosses showing some lightning strikes have already been recorded across parts of Fiordland. But we are looking at more wet weather being pushed back on towards that western coast. There are some heavy rain warnings for Fiordland up in towards Westland and even across in towards the headwaters of the Otago and Canterbury rivers. And we're also watching for those stronger winds as well. Places like Southland, Otago, Canterbury, Marlborough, and like I say, even Wellington could find some strong winds as we head through the rest of Thursday and in towards that first part of Friday as well. We could find winds perhaps reaching severe gale in the most exposed areas. But we'll start off by taking a look at that wet weather. You can see where it piles in, being driven by those northwesterly winds. The areas which see the most rainfall, no surprises, it's Fiordland and Westland. But like I say, with those strong northwesterly winds, that will push that rainfall across the top of the main divide in towards the other side, in towards the east. So places like Otago and Canterbury, around the top of that main divide, could well find some fairly heavy amounts of rainfall. But some of the highest amounts, though, will be on that western coast. You can see that's where we've got our severe weather warnings, those heavy rain warnings for Fiordland and Westland, and like I say, just about the main divide as well. We'll start off with that one in Fiordland. Runs right the way through to about 9 o'clock this afternoon. Heaviest rainfall north of about Doubtful Sound. We could find another 80 to 120 millimetres of rain, and it's worth saying there are more thunderstorms possible as we head through this afternoon, and again they may well bring some really intense bursts of rain. We'll carry on up the country as we head up towards the likes of Otago. We'll find a lot of that wet weather stays the other side of the main divide, but some of it will be pushed across to as much as 20 kilometres out towards the east of the main divide, with that heavy rainfall being mainly about that central strip. Rainfall totals 110 to 150 millimetres of rain, and this runs right the way through to about 10 o'clock tonight, 10 o'clock on Thursday. Similarly, we have got more wet weather up in towards parts of Westland. Again, rainfall totals 140 to 180 millimetres of rainfall about the main divide. Lesser amounts down towards the coast, but still 70 to 100 millimetres of rain. That's still a fair amount to come through. And again, still with that risk of thunderstorms. And it's a similar story as we head across towards the likes of, say, the Canterbury High Country. Again, the heaviest rainfall about and to the west of that main divide, but even to the east, we'll find some fairly high figures, and that will feed in towards those headwaters of those Canterbury lakes and rivers. So it will eventually make its way down towards that eastern coast as well. We've also got that heavy rain. Watch out for the northern parts of Western, north of Otago, and up in towards Bulla, and that's through in towards the early hours of Friday morning as this front continues to make its way northwards. But while the wet weather is on that western side, we are going to find the strongest winds out towards the east and across those southern parts. Now, for places like Southland, Stewart Island, Otago, this warning runs right the way through to about 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday. Some strong winds coming through, reaching perhaps severe gale in the most exposed areas, inland and perhaps about the higher areas. But we are going to find gusts perhaps 80, 90 kilometres an hour in those areas, perhaps even a little bit higher in the most exposed areas. We've also got a strong wind watch out from the Canterbury High Country right the way through till midday on Friday. Again, winds perhaps reaching severe gale in the most exposed areas, especially in those inland parts, just as the winds rip down from the main divide through there. And we've also added a severe wind watch for the likes of those inland parts of Marlborough up towards the Sounds, and also parts of Wellington and those areas south of Featherston in Wairarapa. And that warning there, that watch there, runs through until the early hours of Friday morning. So we are going to find those winds picking up across those lower parts of the North Island as we head towards the end of the day. The other thing we're going to find is a bit of a change to some cooler temperatures, which is going to bring with it the risk of some snowfall about those higher passes. Something to bear in mind if you're planning to head away for those long weekend. We have got some road snowfall watches in place. For places like the Milford Road, right the way from midnight today through in towards the end of the day on Friday. Heaviest amounts about the tunnel, 3 to 6 centimetres of snowfall could accumulate through there, but most of the snow above about 700 metres or so. We're also going to find snowfall for parts of, say, the Crown Range Road and also Linda's Pass. Again, not huge amounts, 1 or 2 centimetres about the very tops of the road, but I think above about 800 metres we could well find some snowfall as we head through and towards those early hours of Friday morning. So this is Thursday night into Friday. And for the likes of, say, Arthur's Pass, not an awful lot accumulating, but we could well find some snowfall about the top of the road there, just as we head through again to that early part of Friday morning. The combination of that wet weather and that cold air underneath it could well bring some snowfall, and something to watch out for as we head through the next few days as well. Speaking of which, I will take a quick look at how things are panning out as we head through that long weekend. Things generally are settling down as we head towards Saturday. High pressure builds over us. Short-lived though. Next front moves in from the west. More heavy rainfall for that western coast. Low pressure forming on that spins round and brings some wet weather perhaps back in towards places like Otago and Canterbury. Worth keeping an eye on the forecast for you next week. We could find some heavy rainfall, but generally the best of the weekend is likely to be early on. That's it from me. This is from metservice.com.